Just like so many other ex-government officials, President Biden's former press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, has a book coming out where she talks about why she has since left the Democratic Party. And before any Republicans get too excited, she did not hop the fence. She has just become an independent because of the quote unquote betrayal of the Democratic Party that led to Biden dropping out of the presidential race last year. The book is called Independent, a look inside a broken White House outside the party lines, and it's expected to be out this October. So the independent part is apparently a pretty critical aspect of it because it's right there in the title. The description says that Jean-Pierre will offer clear arguments and provocative evidence as an insider about the importance of dismantling information. She will also argue that it can be worthwhile to carve a political space more loyal to personal beliefs than a party affiliation. So Jean-Pierre is not surprisingly catching some flack, not so much for leaving the Democratic Party, but for her reason why. One former official said of the book, "Everyone thinks this is a grift." And another said, "She made a joke about being an independent last year and now it's a book. All ideas are monetary, even the dumb ones." I agree with that. It's very tiresome to see people write books about their dumb ideas. But Caitlin Legacki, she is a Democratic strategist who worked in the Commerce Department's communication shop during Biden's term. She had this to say about the book. "Kamala Harris and the entire Biden-Harris campaign did hero's work to avoid losing 400 electoral votes and giving Republicans a supermajority in Congress, which is what would have happened if he stayed on the ticket," she said. "It's more productive to focus on that and thank Biden for doing the responsible thing by stepping aside than it is to pretend this was an unwarranted act of betrayal." Yeah, it feels like a very immature take on her part, on Jean-Pierre's part. So she also said that because Democrats made the right decision not to center Biden's ego in 2024, Democrats are now in a better position to potentially protect Americans from the worst of the Trump administration, specifically Trump's big beautiful bill. Another Democratic operative is claiming, like many others, that Jean-Pierre has always been ego-driven and opportunistic where her career in politics is concerned. So now her attempts to straddle some middle ground between Republicans and Democrats feels like a weak attempt to maintain relevance now that she really is out of a job. So someone said she was the public face telling us all that this White House was on track and that Biden was amazing. And now she doesn't even want to be a Democrat. That's from a former Biden White House official, and they said this via text. She's making herself the middle ground here when Republicans hate her. She's not in any position to be a connector of our two-party system, and assuming she could be is just ego. That said, the Democrats shouldn't be surprised that they're publicly losing party members because according to recent polling, even though people may not like Trump, the Democrats are more unpopular now than ever. So after around 250 focus groups of swing voters, a few patterns have emerged. This was from polling that was done by the researcher Anat Shenker-Osorio. Republicans are seen as apex predators like lions, tigers, and sharks, beasts that take what they want when they want it. Democrats are typically tagged as tortoises, slugs, or sloths, slow, plodding, passive. Ooh, how embarrassing. One Democratic man in Georgia compared the Democrats to a deer standing in headlights. He says, you stand there and you see the car coming, but you're going to stand there and get hit with it anyway. So sad. It's very, very sad. According to a recent NBC News poll, Democrats' approval rating is sitting at just 27%, the lowest it's been since 1990, primarily because voters are disappointed that Democrats are not fighting harder against Trump and his administration. Trump's approval rating is still quite low, by the way, but that doesn't mean that people just like the Democrats by default. I think this is something that the Democrats cannot afford to ignore, right? They see that these younger, more progressive candidates are making inroads with their voting populace, the people who the Democrats keep saying, the voters don't want these progressive people. They want the same old whatever. And the people keep telling them repeatedly, and they keep polling this way. We're not happy about it, right? The Democrats right now, they're not happy about what's going on in the Trump administration, but it doesn't mean that they would rather the Democrats be in charge, because the Democrats aren't doing anything. They're disappointed in them because they refuse to fight back, at least in any kind of meaningful way. If the Democrats come out and say, you know what, we're angry about this too. So what? You're the one who's in the position to do something about it, so do something about it. You're the one who wanted to do something about it, right? It's not enough for the Democrats to feign solidarity with the rest of us. And I say feign solidarity because, let's be real, most of them are operating outside of the regular rules and regulations and just constraints that the average American lives under, right? They make more money than most Americans. They have more privileges than most Americans. They have better access to things than most Americans do. So they're fine. They have to pretend to just like appease the American people. And that had been working for them for a while things were decent for people, but now it's not, and it's not enough.
Yeah, first of all, I think that there's a limited amount of things that the Democrats can do because they don't have they don't have a majority in any of the chambers. However, they can be critical, they can be energetic, they can be like we've seen some Democrats even on social media or in hearings stand out, whether it's Chris Murphy or Bernie Sanders for a long time, or AOC or Elizabeth Warren, or I think it's Congresswoman Stansbury, I believe. Or Jasmine Crockett. We see these. We want more of that, and part of that is this old, the old group that exists. Whether it's somebody like Chuck Schumer. I mean, there's a clip of Chuck Schumer. I think it was on either The Daily Show or Colbert, one of them, where it showed Chuck Schumer with his glasses down, and he goes, "We're going to be ready to go once Trump's approval rating drops below 40%. That's when we're going to be able to make our case to the American people." And then the approval rating dropped below 40%, and they didn't do anything. So you got people like Chuck Schumer, you got other people that are kind of out of touch and out of date, and they don't bring any passion. I mean, there's just no, like you said, they're sloths versus the sharks. And so it's like you need more young energy. And Jean-Pierre clearly, I think that the title of independent and saying she's going independent is going to get her a lot more press than if she had just said, "Oh, my time in the White House with Joe Biden." So I do feel that there's a selling point to that. And let's go back to the whole Joe Biden thing. We all were shocked. I mean, we knew, we heard, we knew some things weren't right. But that debate, I mean, now when I see clips of it, I just want to turn it off. I don't want to see it. And in my opinion, Joe Biden has said he's going to be a one-term president just to transition us out of the damage that Trump had done. The real noble thing for him to have done would have been to say, "I'm not running for the second term. I'm going to go look after my own health and be with my family." And then we would have had a primary, and we would have had somebody who actually would have had a better chance than Kamala Harris did, because we threw her into the race in the last minute. She did as well as anybody could have. So there's a lot of things to complain about, but I think the overarching thing is we need more energy in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, absolutely. And either way, even if she had stayed with the Democratic Party, she was just his press secretary. She wasn't anybody who was governing. She really wasn't anybody that I think a lot of people cared about. And she's not anybody who I think a lot of people have missed since she's been gone from that position. So, I mean, it does feel a little bit opportunistic to me, because it's just like, why are you doing this? And we've seen it before, right? We've seen people leave administrations for whatever reason, and then they write a book about it, and then they're in the press tour, they're in the news for a little bit, like they're doing their thing. They have their extra boost of a 15 minutes and then they go away. But also, it is embarrassing for the Democrats that they're compared to sloths. I met a sloth once and it was great. It was very exciting for me, but like to be compared to a sloth, I don't think I would want that, especially not if I was working in the government. But we are seeing some more energy now. We are seeing some more vibrant, vivacious people come into Congress, and thankfully they're running for these positions now. I think a lot of people, it is a very scary thing to run for Congress. I would never want to run for Congress. I would never want to run a campaign for Congress. I think being in Congress would be different. Running a campaign, no thank you. Who wants to do that? So
there's actually an Iranian American with your name, Yasmin Ansari, who ran for Congress in Arizona and now is in Young Energy. We need more people like her. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting that so many younger people with more progressive values, I don't know about this person specifically, but generally they are getting in, like they're getting elected in. So goes to show to Nancy Pelosi.